Explosions tear through massive steel as Zuikaku lists under relentless American fire. Smoke blankets her deck as Japan's last carrier bleeds in silence. The end is worse than anyone expected. This is the tragic fall of IJN Zuikaku. October 25th, 1944, battle off Cape Engano. Radar plots swarm across the screen, hundreds of inbound contacts. Zuikaku's bridge erupts in clipped orders. All stations, battle readiness. Sailors sprint through smoke-filled corridors. The ship vibrates under maximum power. Above, flight deck crews arm the last Mitsubishi Zeros, pushing them toward the catapults. Engines scream. Deck officers wave them off with trembling paddles. The air smells of fuel and salt. Seconds later, the first bombs fall. Columns of seawater explode alongside the hull. A direct hit slams into the starboard aft. Fire erupts beneath the deck. Ammunition cooks off. Fragments tear through bulkheads. Damage control teams fight to contain the blaze as black smoke billows toward the sky. Commander Jojima grips the railing, watching his carrier shudder. The alarms never stop. The plan was supposed to lure the enemy north, but Zuikaku became the target instead. Hours earlier, that doomed order had already sealed Zuikaku's fate beyond rescue. Rewind to dawn, October 24th. Operation Shogo, Japan's final gamble. Zuikaku, once the pride of the Kido Butai, now leads the Northern Force. Her task is not victory, but illusion. To lure Admiral Halsey's powerful Third Fleet away from the real threat in Leyte Gulf, but the cost is known from the start. Most veteran pilots died in earlier battles, such as the Battle of the Philippine Sea, the Battle of Santa Cruz, and the Battle of Midway. The decks now swarm with inexperienced airmen, some barely able to land. The hangars hold only 40 planes, many outdated, few armed for real combat. Below deck, engineers patch rusted pipes and worn machinery, just enough for one last sortie. Above, officers brief crews on a mission they won't survive. Zuikaku, survivor of Pearl Harbor and Coral Sea, sails towards certain death. Her flag raised high, her flight deck spotless. Wrapped in pure honor, she is nothing more than bait, and every man aboard knows it. By sunrise, the decoy had worked, too well for Zuikaku's survival. Dawn over the Philippine Sea. Clouds now hang low, the horizon hazed with smoke. At 0640 hours, a lone US Avenger spots the Northern Task Force. A quick coded transmission confirmed, bearing plotted. The deception succeeds. Halsey takes the bait. Aboard USS Essex, flight decks roar to life. Hellcats roll forward, engines screaming under takeoff power. Helldivers line up behind them, followed by Avenger torpedo bombers, each loaded for a kill. Task Force 38 launches, wave after wave, more than 260 aircraft in the first strike. At 0800 hours, Zuikaku's radar picks them up, blips spreading fast from the east. Lookouts shout visual confirmation. Contrails high above the clouds. Air raid sirens echo through the carrier group. Pilots rush to cockpits. Mechanics slam fuel caps shut. The command center falls silent for a heartbeat. Just then, enemy planes inbound. Multiple formations. The final battle for Zuikaku has begun, and this time there is no escape. Moments later, the sea itself seems to rise against Zuikaku's hull. At 0830 hours, the first American formation dives through the cloud cover. Helldivers peel off in perfect sequence, releasing payloads from 10,000 feet. Bombs scream downward, missing by meters, but close enough to rattle bulkheads. The fifth hit lands near the aft elevator. Steel bends, fires erupt. Below deck, shock waves knock sailors from their feet. Water pours through ruptured seams on the port side. The ship takes a 5-degree list. Compartments flood fast. Damage control teams seal hatches, deploy pumps, and fight rising flames with seawater hoses. On the bridge, Captain Jojima orders counterflooding, maintaining precision and calm, no panic. The list stabilizes, engines respond. Zuikaku holds her course. Above, tracer fire lights the air as the ship's last anti-aircraft guns hammer away. Smoke covers the horizon. The sea boils with near misses, yet the carrier still moves, scarred but unbroken. In the brief silence that follows, sailors cheer, completely unaware that the next assault wave is already on its way. But the brief calm shatters as new blips swarm across the radar. 2 hours later, they come again, and this time they are even tighter, faster and deadlier. American coordination is flawless. Fighters sweep low, suppressing anti-aircraft fire. Helldivers follow, torpedoes and bombs falling with mechanical precision. The first torpedo hits amidships. Seconds later, 4 more strike in sequence. The deck lurches violently. Compartments flood faster than pumps can drain. Power flickers and eventually dies. The great carrier slows to a crawl, trailing thick black oil. Below decks, men wade through waist-deep water, guided only by red emergency lights. The engine rooms fall silent. Communications fail one section at a time. Captain Jojima issues orders by runner. Handwritten messages pass through smoke and chaos. The bridge reeks of burning insulation. Instruments crackle uselessly. Every compartment becomes a battlefield. Fire, water, exhaustion. Gun crews fight on instinct, firing manually at shadows in the clouds. By noon, Zuikaku drifts helplessly, her hull torn open, her decks in ruin. The ship that once defined Japan's naval power now barely stays afloat. With fires spreading unchecked, the final order echoes through Zuikaku's shattered corridors. Captain Jojima stands firm on the bridge, uniform scorched, eyes steady. "Abandon ship," he commands. The words carry through smoke and static. Sailors remove caps, bow once, then move swiftly toward the railings. Life rafts deploy as flames consume the flight deck. The ship lists heavily to port. The deck tilts past 40 degrees. Ammunition cooks off below, each blast shaking the dying hull. The rising sea reaches the lower hangar. Still, discipline holds. No panic, no chaos, only silence and resolve. The ensign is lowered slowly, the last of the Emperor's flagships, paying its final salute. Men gather on the tilted deck, soaked in oil and sunlight. They begin to sing Kimigayo, Japan's anthem, even through choking smoke and wind. Voices fade as the ocean climbs over the bow. At 14 hours, Zuikaku rolls to port and slips beneath the waves. Her flag disappears last, swallowed by fire, saltwater and history. Hours later, the sea is quiet, but the scale of loss unfolds. Rescue destroyers edge through the smoking debris field, engines throttled low. Oil slicks stretch for miles. Wreckage burns in silent patches. Survivors cling to rafts, their faces blackened by soot and fuel. More than 800 never surface, gone with the carrier that once symbolized Japan's pride. Zuikaku, the last survivor of the Pearl Harbor strike force, is no more. Her loss erases the final trace of Japan's carrier dominance. The Imperial Navy, once unmatched in precision and daring, now drifts into history. US pilots circling above report only drifting oil and fragments of the flight deck. The decoy mission had achieved its purpose, but at a cost too steep to measure. Within days, Admiral Ozawa's force ceases to exist as a fighting unit. Decades later, divers still find her remnants, resting in silence beneath the Philippine Sea. Her fall was not merely the end of a ship, it was the death of an entire naval era.